Sorry about the delay. There's been a slight change in plan. The director and producer for Bulldog will not be joining us, but we have with us the cast and crew of 2 films that are participating in the International Panorama section. We have with us the director for 7 Dogs, Siete Perros, Rodrigo Guerrero, and we have with us the director and producer of Erhart. Director is Jan Brezina and the producer Marek Novak from Czech Republic. Please give them a big round of applause. I welcome you all to the 53rd edition of the International Film Festival of India here in Goa. We'll start with 7 Dogs. We'll start with the trailer of 7 Dogs. So those of you who haven't seen the film can understand what the film is about.
Hey, gitano. Hey. Muy bien. El que mejor se porta hasta ahora, ¿eh? ¿Eh?
Ernesto, ¿cómo va? ¿Pasó algo?
Nada, todo bien.
Acá me dice su hija que se le cortó la comunicación y no se pudo volver a comunicar más.
No, no pasó nada. Se me cayó el teléfono al agua, eso.
Ah, dice que se le cayó el teléfono al agua. Sí, no te preocupes. Hablamos. Ernesto, ¿almorzó? ¿No quiere que le baje un pedazo de pastel de papa?
No, gracias, está todo bien, querido.
Pero de verdad, mira que a mí se me va a poner feo de la heladera.
¿Se pueden callar, por favor?
Can we have the lights? Okay, so what we saw was not the trailer, but a small clip from the film, which is a very good encapsulation of what the film is about. It's a film about Ernesto, who lives in an apartment building with 7 dogs, and he leads a very lonely life, struggling with money, struggling with daily routine, with his medical needs, as well as taking care of the pets. However, his neighbors are not very fond of the idea and want him to evacuate, and they're fighting a legal battle. So this clip actually encapsulated the film very well. Now we'll move on to Erhart. We don't have the trailer for Erhart because the film has not released theatrically, but it is being shown at IFFI, so for those of you who want to catch it, you all should. Erhart comes from Czech Republic. The film is about a 23-year-old young man who returns to his hometown to care for his mother and discovers the dangerous truth about his family's past and the dark legacy of the local community. It is also Jan Brezina's fiction feature debut film. So now we would like to open the floor to the directors to share what was the idea and the inspiration behind these films that are actually very different to each other, but what motivated them. We also have Stephanie with us, who's the translator for Rodrigo. Stephanie is from Goa, so you'll have to turn on the mic.
Okay. Hi, thanks for coming here. Well, I will speak in Spanish because my English is not so good, so sorry for that. Well, Stephanie will help. Bueno, la idea surgió un poco a través de una nota que leímos en el diario, en el newspaper, una nota que hablaba de un hombre que en Buenos Aires vivía con 8 perros y que tenía problemas con los vecinos a causa de esa situación.
So the idea came from a paper he read in the news, an article he read in the newspaper about a man who had 8 dogs and lived in Buenos Aires. And he had the same situation and the problems that he faced, that the actor faced in the movie.
Nos parecía que el retrato que podíamos hacer de una micro sociedad en ese universo, en ese edificio, la sociedad que se representa en ese edificio, nos permitía hablar de problemas que nos pasan todos los días a un nivel quizás más amplio.
So he wanted to capture the problems that we face in a micro society, and that are not really generally shared every day. The problems which are happens in our day-to-day life, which are not spoken about, given that it can be our financial problems, our struggles, our health problems. Those are the kind of problems which are not shared on a daily basis, and that's what he wanted to encapsulate.
También es una película que habla un poco sobre la soledad, sobre las relaciones humanas, sobre los vínculos entre las personas y los animales. Un poco todas esas son las temáticas de la película.
So the movie basically speaks about the relations of humans, also with the coexistence of animals. Also talks about the loneliness that sometimes we face in life, and that was the theme of the movie.
Jan, could you tell us what inspired you to make an Erhart?
Czech Republic transformed 30 years ago from socialistic regime to capitalism, and it created kind of mess. For example, all the property which were owned by state was privatized, and there were a lot of crimes connected to that. Which is already 30 years ago, but it still has some impact on today's. So my idea was to see how is this problem perceived by young people today. So I created a story where there are two families. One of them is like the winning family, and the others are the losers, and the children from these families know each other, but they don't know what exactly happened in the past, and they discover it in the film.
Marek, what convinced you to back this project?
Well, hello everybody, it's very nice to be here. And I have worked with Jan, we have known each other since our studies at FAMU, at the film school in Prague in Czech Republic, and we did together Jan's graduation film Maria Stock some years ago. So after Jan started developing the idea of Erhart, it was natural for us to come together and work on it together, as well as with other key members of the crew, including the DOP, the editor, the sound designer.
Now I would like to open the floor to questions. Anybody wants to ask anything?
Hello everyone, welcome to India, welcome to IFFI. I watched Rodrigo, the questions to you. I watched your film yesterday. So I read that this is your fourth feature film.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to make a film on these pets, and did you want to explore the human connection through a canine family? It spurs like people to interact with each other, as in he starts visiting other houses in the apartment to see if anybody can adopt the dogs so that they stay as a pack together. So what was the underlying objective behind you making a movie on such a subject?
Oh, okay. Lo que nos parecía importante en relación a lo que la película cuenta en este momento, digamos, en los tiempos que corren, donde quizás las sociedades están tan violentas y las conexiones entre las personas son tan difíciles, entenderse entre las personas a veces está siendo cada vez más difícil. Esta película quizás plantea una posibilidad de encuentro frente a un conflicto.
So he wanted to encapsulate that times right now are violent, and there is kind of a loss between human to human communication, affection. So he wanted to encapsulate an understanding between that, and he wanted to show it through the animals. Also, it was he found it a little difficult, a little more difficult to raise this kind of questions so that the public could understand the conflicts.
Pero quizás la película plantea un conflicto que es personal, digamos, en un edificio que es un espacio social, pequeño, pero es un espacio social, un edificio, y ese conflicto que atañe a una persona finalmente se resuelve de manera colectiva, digamos. Al personaje lo ayudan en el mismo edificio que le está generando el problema. Esa dualidad en términos de una cuestión política nos parecía atractivo para hablar de eso.
In a building that is a small society space, but it concerns the conflicts of a person's day-to-day life, which can be resolved collectively. Generally, one person's conflicts can be collected into a majority. So finally resolved helps us in generating an idea as to understand the importance of that relation, of that connection.
Other related doubt is how hard was it shooting with the dogs?
Okay.
They're not like moving too much and disturbing the equipment.
Yes.
I would also like to add a question to that. Like, how did you? There is a dog in the film. There is the last scene for Pachita in the film. I don't want to give too many spoilers.
Yes, please.
So, how did you shoot that particular scene also?
Bueno, trabajar con los perros fue muy fácil, a diferencia de lo que todo el mundo piensa, fue muy sencillo, porque no eran perros adiestrados, no eran perros entrenados, entonces los perros simplemente hacían cosas de perros, que hacen los perros todos los días, lo que, bueno.
So he wanted to notify that it wasn't very difficult to work with the pets, even though they weren't bred. They weren't breeded pets, they weren't animals of race, they were local, they were adopted, and they belonged to a family. The shooting was pretty simple because it was just shooting what dog does on a day-to-day life. There was not much to it besides the following question.
Sí, lo único que sí hacíamos es, si filmamos en un espacio, por ejemplo en la cocina, lo que hacíamos era cerrar la posibilidad de que los perros se vayan a otro espacio. Poníamos unas tablas, unas especies de, tapamos las puertas, entonces los perros estaban obligados a quedarse en el lugar donde estábamos filmando, por ejemplo en la cocina, y estar alrededor del actor, pero todo lo que hacían era espontáneo, no había nada pautado con los perros.
Besides the fact of the problem of them maybe moving from location to location, specifically when you're shooting in a closed area such as the kitchen, which there are many scenes which are filmed in the kitchen. The areas had to be closed. They had to put tables and this so that the dogs wouldn't shift the location. But besides that, it was pretty simple shooting with the animals.
So para el actor era toda una situación de estar improvisando todo el tiempo o respondiendo a lo que los perros hacían de manera inesperada, digamos. Eso también pasaba.
So for the production, they also got the opportunity to improvise with the situations and learn from the situations given, so that you could make the best out of the scene.
Regarding to the question, bueno, con la situación de Panchita, sí, tuvimos que trabajar con una perrita que no era Panchita, era una doble, porque Panchita tenía problemas cardíacos, la Panchita real, problemas del corazón, entonces no podíamos hacerle la sedación, o sea, la tuvimos que dormir un poquito para grabar la escena donde la envenenan, entonces nada, pues, trabajamos con una perrita muy parecida a Panchita, que era una doble, y la dormimos para poder hacer esa escena un momentito muy pequeño, pero fue la escena más difícil con los perros, fue esa.
So the last scene of the film was the one which he found most difficult, which was the scene with Panchita. Now, however, the scene was not was not, so I apologize. Although the scene was not held with the same dog, it was a double. She was put to sleep so that the scene would facilitate, so that there weren't any complications. Also, the scene originally was that. Am I allowed to give any spoilers?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
I will
yes.
leave that for I will leave that for when you'll actually watch the movie. Thank you.
Questions? Marek, I would like to ask, we were talking earlier, you said the film's been in development since 2017. And what were the challenges that came between 2017 to 2022? The film has still not had its theatrical release, so could you share those?
So I think it's actually quite an average time for development of a European first fiction feature film. It's something between 3 and 5 years, so in this sense I think it's quite normal that it takes time, the script development and financing, and of course, I mean, we shot at the end of 2019, so then of course the coronavirus pandemic influenced the post-production and the planning ahead. When should we release, when should we start the festival career of the film and so on. So now we are scheduled for local release in spring or like winter next year.
23.
Yes, 23. Because there is, I mean, I don't know how is it here, but in the Czech Republic, of course, after reopening of the cinemas, there was a huge backlog of films which were waiting to be released, and like there is a huge amount of films all the times. In this autumn, for example, it's Czech Republic is a small market, but still there is competition with all the world, of course, as everywhere. So it's very difficult to release a film, and it's better actually to wait for this big wave to stabilize a little bit.
What this backlog has done in India is that a lot of films have lost out on business because 5 films are releasing on the same day. Is the same thing happening in Czech Republic and in Argentina?
Yes, it is the same. I mean, I think it's not meaningful to compare India and the Czech Republic in terms of the market size. We are a country of 10 million people, but we make about 30 to 35 fiction feature films a year, local, plus all the foreign films. So there is, at these times, there is, I don't know, 5 to 10 premieres every week, which is a lot for a country our size.
Sí, en Argentina también pasa lo mismo, salvando las distancias, obviamente, porque el mercado es mucho más pequeño, pero aproximadamente hay un promedio de 200 películas al año que se realizan en Argentina y que, bueno, se tienen que distribuir a lo largo del año, y pasa muchas veces eso, que se estrenan muchas películas en la misma semana.
The similar situation is going on in Argentina, given the market is smaller, so there are a backlog of about 200 films that need to be spread out throughout the year.
And in some weeks we have a lot of, how do you say? Hay muchos estrenos en la misma semana. In the same week we have a lot of films to premiere.
In 1 week there are a lot of premieres going on, so it's very difficult to keep up.
Jan, while introducing the film, you were saying the Czech Republic as a society, it's still transitioning from socialism to capitalism. Does the film capture that essence?
Yeah, it's present there. Even nowadays we have in politics persons that were active in the previous regime, and they got the capital by knowing already from the previous regime what to do, and they jumped on the train quite fast, so now they are multi-billionaires, especially one person which was our prime minister, and now he wants to run for president, so it's still present.
So would you classify the film as a political film?
It's like on the background of it looks like a chamber romantic film, but the background of things happening there is quite political.
Are there any more questions from the audience? It's not on.
Hi, welcome to IFFI. My question is about Seven Dogs. I had seen the film. So in the film, Ernesto, he is a beautiful character. You know, you really bond with that guy. So was it difficult to select such a person? You know, you had to maybe you have to give him a lot of training because there are 7 dogs and he has to gel with them. And that bond was really portrayed, you know, really beautifully. So how did you come up with that?
The question is how.
Fue difícil achar um carácter como Ernesto y su tenía su personaje Ernesto para
Bueno, el resto es el actor que lo interpreta, se llama Luis Machín, es un actor con mucha trayectoria y mucha experiencia en Argentina. Yo lo conocí porque hizo uno de los personajes protagonistas en mi primera película, entonces había trabajado con él antes y ya tenemos un vínculo de hace varios años.
Ernesto, he had already previously worked with Ernesto in his first film. He's also very experienced in his field, so I think there wasn't a problem with his training as such.
Y antes de la película sí hicimos como un proceso de vincularlo a él con los perros. Semanas anteriores de filmar pasaba tiempo con los perros, los sacaba a pasear, les daba de comer, jugaba, íbamos a la locación donde filmamos, él iba a jugar con los perros todas las tardes.
So weeks before the film, there was sort of an incubation with Ernesto and the dogs, so that they would eat together, play together. He would take them out for walks. So that environment was created so that he gels with the dogs.
Hello, my last question to Jan, it's to you. We've been hearing about Czech Republic, how it was under the socialist rule, and artists time and again have revisited this theme. As in, pardon my ignorance, I have read Milan Kundera's Unbearable Lightness of Being. So in that also, it's about the story about of that time. And as you said, there have been winners and losers in this thing. So how do you think, has the country made peace with its transition, or are the people still under, I mean, there are, as you said in your film also, as in some people have gained and some people have lost. So what is the present situation like?
We are still under the influence of these persons which were active during the regime before. Like the last two presidents are connected with the regime. There are still persons in politics. There are these oligarchs. So I think maybe now it's quite key thing happening. We're gonna vote our president in January, and the most probable candidate is a soldier with a beautiful reputation, but even he was a soldier in the communistic regime already, and now people are talking about him like that he's the same like the oligarch, the other one. So it's still the problem, but let's hope it's not the worst which could happen. Yeah.
Marek, would you like to pitch in this question?
I agree with what Jan has said. I don't. Yes, it's partly a generational thing and partly learning also for younger generations to learn how to live with in the new. It's not so new. It's been more than 30 years. So how to deal with freedom, because it's also a big responsibility.
For example, nowadays we have I don't know like how is it in India, but the society I think quite all around the world, in Europe for sure, is quite divided. Like that there are extreme poles of different opinions, Like for example, now we have a problem that there's quite a lot of people who doesn't want that us to help Ukraine to win the war over the Russia for some reason, and there's this gap between these two parts of society, and it's kind of boiling. So, but I think this extremism is like everywhere now, you know, like Donald Trump is also part of this, like that we want some extremes to kind of, I don't know, to clash or yeah.
If there are no further questions, oh, there is.
Hi, you're welcome to IFFI. My question is for Mr. Rodrigo regarding this film, Seven Dogs. Actually, I have a very simple question. Being an animal lover myself, I just want to know that you have in this film you show this relationship between the dogs and a human being. So why only dogs? Like you could have picked up any form of animals and show this relationship between the humans and the animals. So is there any inspiration behind you choosing only dogs as in like, you know, pet dog and not any other animals? So is there any story or inspiration behind that?
Okay. No hay un sentido particular, más que la inspiración surgió de la noticia, que era la noticia real, era sobre un hombre que vivía con perros, pero creo que la historia aplica para las personas que viven con gatos o cualquier relación o vínculo que se pueda dar con un animal. Obviamente en lo personal siempre yo tuve un mayor vínculo o afinidad con perros, digamos, son mis animales o mis mascotas preferidas.
The original story was of a man having 8 dogs, so we've taken from that. Also apart from the point that people have there is a bigger bond created with dogs. Not that it isn't with any other pet, but given the original story and the affinity that humans have with dogs, it became a more preferable choice.
Yeah, my question is to Rodrigo. You said that you made the film inspired by a news item, an article in the newspaper, where it was a predicament of a man who had 8 dogs, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but your movie name is Seven Dogs, not 8 Dogs. So can you explain what is the difference? I mean,
the difference, no, primero queríamos tener, o sea, más fácil filmar con 7 y no con 8, y después porque, no sé, hay algo en el número 7 que funciona en muchas, tiene un sentido, un significado de los 7 días de la semana, los 7 pecados capitales, un montón de cosas que nos resonaba por algo que nos gustaba que sean 7.
First, he wanted to mention that it's easier filming with 7 dogs instead of 8. Also this number 7 has a lot of significance, given the fact of 7 days of the week, 7 capitals of the state, or in his. So it just became a more convenient number.
I have a follow-up question to that. Why do you say it is easier to film with 7 dogs than 8 dogs?
Porque foi mais fácil com 7.
If the dogs are really bonding, the more
it was an idea we had before the shooting, but then it was so easy to work with 7 dogs. I suppose with 8 it will be the same. I don't know.
Okay, one more question. You said basically I find your theme of the film quite interesting. That your film is also in contention for the ICFT UNESCO Gandhi Medal, which is given for advancement of peace and harmony among countries and peoples. And the film is basically what I understand is that the dogs are giving a message to us, right? So what is it that we as a race are still not learning from animals?
Okay.
Ele queria entender se tem uma mensagem que está sendo portada pela sua película e se tem uma razão ou sentido que uma mensagem que los animales están entendiendo dar para los humanos que no nos estamos entendiendo.
Yes.
Just you can answer this also along with that. Basically, I would also like to ask, what is the difference between humans and animals? Are animals more humane than?
Yeah, claro, that is the how to say dilemma. No, bueno, ese es el dilema, digamos, para mí el planteo es, primero la película, para mí, en lo personal, habla de las relaciones entre las personas, de la dificultad para vincularnos, relacionarnos y entendernos, y en relación al vínculo con los animales, también es que quizás a veces las personas somos más animales que los animales, y a veces los animales son más personas o más humanos que las personas mismas.
So he wanted to say that was the dilemma of the film, that the dogs are more humane. He said that sometimes we as humans tend to act more like animals, and the animals itself tend to act more like humans. So,
Would you also say that animals are more human than humans
Sometimes,
are animal?
yes, sometimes in some situations you have this, or you feel like an animal can understand you before than a human. You know, if you have a pet and you have a closer relationship with your dog or with your cat, in many times in your private life, maybe you have a strong relationship with the pet or the cat, and in some moment you feel maybe the cat or the dog understand you before another humans. And Ernesto is he lives alone. He lives with their pets are all their life.
One more question is that as I happened to be discussing with you a little while ago, in India we have a big problem in many places where we have stray dogs which are not anyone's pets. They roam around on the street. They eat various kinds of food which is thrown by people and other kinds of waste. Some of them happen to get infected by rabies, the infectious disease rabies, and there are a lot of cases of attacks where stray dogs attack even children, resulting in death. And at the same, so a lot of people, animal rights activists and others, they fight for protection of dogs. But some people, there are some others who say that human life is more precious than that of dogs, and that you have to kill them or do something to control their population, etc. So, would you? I hope you understand the problem which I'm describing. Yes. So once she explains, I hope it will be clearer. So what would be the message which 7 Dogs would have to offer to us in tackling this problem?
está falando que na India tem muita situação de
Sí, los perros, muchos perros en la calle, muchos perros que atacan, que hay que sacrificarlos. Sí. Y la pregunta al final.
Can you repeat the question?
No, the crux of the question is what would be the what would be the message which the film 7 Dogs can offer to us, people of India, in tackling, in addressing the problem of stray dogs? Whether it's a problem is itself another question.
Can I?
Sorry, can you say?
So I think it's a film about loneliness as well as companionship. I think it's about how you find company and what kind of company. I think that, he's the director, he will know much better, but as a viewer, that is what I got from the film.
Yes.
So what I'm asking is how it applies to this problem.
No, maybe it's a possibility to resolve the problem if you have to adopt a dog and you have to give love, to darle amor, contenerlo, sostenerlo. No sé si 7 porque es mucho quizás, pero bueno, es lo que sucede. Creo que hay que intentar rescatar más perros de la calle y no comprar tantos perros de raza, y quizás eso sí puede ser un mensaje de la película.
To care, to get a stray dog and give love, to be able to provide for them. Also the fact that us humans should, I think, try to spend, maybe not 7, he's meant not 7, because 7 is a lot, but to try and adopt stray dogs from the road, try to provide for them. Also, ¿cuál fue el último punto?
Que quizás una manera es adoptar más de esos perros de la calle y no comprar tantos perros de raza. No sé si aquí se venden mucho.
Aquí,
¿no?
sí.
Okay.
And also try, if you're going to get a pet, to try and get stray dogs instead of buy breeder dogs, because breeder dogs are well taken care of. They don't really have the need. The need is out there in the street somewhere. So I think that's, yeah.
I think with that we can conclude the press conference.
Just one question. to Jan. Yeah, I have one question for Jan and Marek. I understand the film is about the two families discover the crime and the enmity which was there between their four parents. So can you just tell us how this discovery changes them and how it affects their friendship, and the learning about the past, how does it change their present and future?
It affects the girl from the rich family extremely, because she kind of falls in love with the guy, and she starts to work for him to kind of not spy on her father, but to get information from her father. And she discovers that he's the villain, and she's affected by that. And also her dream of having a relation with the guy doesn't fulfill at the same time, so the girl is punished. The girl from the rich family is punished.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to both films and both directors and producers and Stephanie for joining us here today. Thank you for coming to IFFI and addressing the media at large. Good luck with your films. For those of us who haven't seen it, we look forward to catching them soon. Thank you.
Thank you.